I started building a DIY skate spot in June 2022 with the intention to build a small DIY skate park. I found a ditch that seemed to be in a good, isolated location that wouldn't attract too much attention. I started building with a small quarter pipe, then eventually I added some hips. After that, I built a wall ride channel with a bank in the middle. There are a couple reasons why I haven't been building at the spot recently. So before making any decisions on what to do at the spot, whether or not I move forward with it, I need to go check up on it because it's actually been over a month and a half since I've been there at all. So it could be completely destroyed. It could still be there. I really don't know. So let's go check up on it and then we'll make some decisions on what to do forward. Shit. Wow. If you've seen the previous episodes on this series of Renegade Skate Park, you've probably seen me covering some tags. It's just been a whole situation. I don't want to cover them, but first thing is first, all the walls are freshly painted. So clearly the city has been down here. I don't know what that really means. Can't believe the city came down here. They painted it gray because that's just what they do to like avoid all the tags. I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's a school right here that complains. There's probably neighbors next door that complain. I don't really know why they do it, but they come down here and they basically cover all the tags. Now this is something that I was scared about. I figured when they'd come down here and cover all the tags, they would also destroy the spot, or at least report it to the city, and then they would come down here and destroy it. But now that I'm back, I'm seeing that the city actually just painted all the DIY. Like they literally painted all the concrete so that it blends into the wall, which is something that I was like trying to do myself. So shout out to the city of Oceanside. Like they don't care so far. So this is such a big important factor on the decisions of whether or not I move forward with this spot. We'll dive into that in a little bit. But man, like seeing everything still here is so motivation. I'm so inspired right now. Like I really did think I was gonna come here and it was gonna be a sad situation. It was gonna be an unfortunate situation, but it is really to my surprise. Everything's still in contact. Some of our supplies was like down in this drainage area where I kind of like tucked it away at one point with like some bags. I was gonna come and take it all out, but it looks like someone went through the bags and just like spreaded everything everywhere. Like the supplies is all over the place, but our transitions are still here. All of our transitions. No way. All the transitions are still there. And they're actually like still laid in like an organized way, which makes me think like whoever painted this like took out all the trash, but then left the transitions for us to like continue building. This is such a good, this is like the most ideal situation for building a Renegade skate park. Like it doesn't get any better than this. These were not gray. These were pure concrete when I was done. Even down there, so this was the last thing that I built in the series. Kind of finished off the hip. Now it is all gray. Good news. It also doesn't look like anybody has been skating here, like bikers, skaters. Nobody's really found it. It seems like the artists, the taggers here are the only people that still come down here. So I definitely want to make friends with them and keep in cahoots with them. But the fact that nobody skated here or messed with it at all, like that's pretty sick. This is really becoming like my private DIY skate park on public land, public space, obviously. Something I've been thinking about is like just giving this address out on Instagram or something and just getting other people involved with the build process. It might make it less strenuous. However, that does jeopardize it. Maybe people come down here and ruin the spot, destroy it. I don't know. It could go one way or another. I appreciate anybody that's watched any of my DIY skate spot videos. The original reason I started this channel is because I was going to build a DIY in my backyard. I couldn't decide on wood or concrete. That was the first video. I did eventually decide on concrete. However, we had to sell that house and the dream of building my backyard DIY diminished. It's gone. I no longer had the house, no longer had that opportunity. A few months ago, me and my wife moved into a new house here in Oceanside, which means new opportunities, new possibilities for a DIY, and that's what I have been working on. The first step was actually to push out our fence because we didn't have too much backyard space in this side of the yard. We have two side yards essentially, and this area is really small, so we pushed out the fence. Now where I'm at with everything is just leveling it out. So I'm having to take all these rocks out, do everything myself. We don't have landscapers right now because that just costs a lot of money. And sometimes when you're doing these things, you got to do them yourself so that you can just make them happen. We can't afford to have everyone be doing everything for us, although it would be a lot easier. So now I'm kind of in prep stage for the backyard DIY ramp. So it's kind of full circle. Now the dream is starting to finally happen. Now, I haven't figured out exact measurements for what's gonna go down here in the backyard, but I'm getting an idea. And I have a homie recently that said he's getting rid of his mini ramp, so I'm kind of sizing it up and see if I can use that mini ramp as a form, essentially use all the wood that he's gonna donate, hopefully to me, and it'll make things a lot cheaper. So one thing I gotta think about is if that ramp size is good enough, and if it's not, how do I make that extra space, and how much space do I have in my backyard? So this doesn't necessarily mean the DIY Renegade skate park series is over. However, I have to prioritize things because I have really bad ADHD, and that's a tool that I use. And one thing that I really want to prioritize right now is the backyard DIY. However, that doesn't mean it's going to end. I'm actually at the local skate park right now. I just picked up some supplies for my house, got the water, got some concrete vinyl patcher, and I got some concrete adhesive, and I got all my tools. So I'm going to show you really quick kind of instruction on how to fix a crack or a seam at a skate park that's really bad. There's one seam here that's impossible to skate. Like, it's one of those obstacles that's not really an obstacle. It's just behind the quarter pipe. You can't really approach it because there's not much run up or roll away. However, I think it could be really fun if we fix it up. So let's jump into the local skate park. I'll show you really quick how to fix the bottom of a cracked seam. So this quarter pipe behind me is the one that I want to fix. The seam at the very bottom where the transition meets the floor is kind of lifted and they're elevated so you can really feel it. And because something like this, you can't really hit it straight on and straight down, you have to hit it sideways. So the seam messes you up even more because you're having to hit it sideways and come in on it sideways. It grabs your wheels more. There's also some seams where like you ollie out and there's a seam right there, or you're throwing down into the bank. So there's a lot of like seams over here that are sort of have a little gap in them. So what I'm going to do is basically pour in the concrete adhesive, mix our vinyl patcher, and then soothe over it. I'll give you all the instructions, kind of walk through it in a second. And you might be thinking, why would you want to fix up that quarter pipe back there? There's barely any way to skate it. I think that's why I want to fix it, almost to see if we can skate it, see if we could find a fun way to skate, because I think we could hit it at an angle and do tricks and go to the side, but right now it's just impossible with how bad that crack is. So let's fix it up. Got our vinyl concrete patcher. This is our adhesive sticking on the ground. Got two trowels. Nothing crazy. I got a big trowel, flat edge, not a pole trowel. Then we got the smaller one, smaller edge. These are nice. I'll show you why in a second. Got a mask for mixing our concrete, and then a little spray bottle to spray it in case it's drying too fast. And then I got a little mixing bucket to mix it in. This isn't the most ideal, but it'll work. First thing I gotta do is add some water to our spray bottle. You can buy concrete vinyl patcher in bags, and it's a little bit cheaper than it is in the bucket. I prefer the bucket because it keeps things clean, makes it easier to get in and out quickly. Before mixing the concrete vinyl patcher, I want to add our concrete adhesive into the joints. Because this material is so fine like sand, we're better off slowly adding more water and slowly adding more concrete adhesive versus adding too much water. You want to mix in a bucket or something to hold the patcher. You can't really mix it on the ground like you can Quikrete. I'm going to start placing it into the cracks that we want to fix. I'm not troweling it immediately, instead I'm just going to get all the material into the right spot. The edge flow is good because of its shape, and it'll make things a lot easier for this type of task. Ideally, you only want to trowel this stuff 1 or 2 times. The more you have to trowel it, the more it tends to get messy because it's so fine. Unfortunately, my trowel has old concrete on the bottom and it's not smooth, so it is going to make this job a little harder. Essentially, you want to repeat the process and go down the line of the crack. This is not the best way to repair seams like this. However, it's a cheap and quick option if you have a skate park like this one that is highly visited and hard to find times that skaters will stay off the obstacle. So that's pretty much how you go about fixing a seam at your local skate park. This stuff dries really quick, the vinyl concrete patcher, so I'm gonna give it a couple hours, just keep an eye on it. I might skate the bowl for a little bit, and then I'll come back tomorrow and get a skate session on. I'll film some clips on it, don't worry. But yeah, the nice part about this stuff is that it dries really quick, so you don't have to worry about somebody coming and ruining it. Like the chances are if someone came and skated this in like 2 hours, it'd be okay. The hard part about seam at the bottom of the quarter pipe is that when you ditch your board or when you bail your skateboard, a lot of times the bolts and the nuts, everything about your skateboard is falling down right on that seam. So it tends to make the seam expand and gets messed up over time. So I guess the point that I'm getting at is this is not bad skate park design. I think this might be a little bit of bad construction and then just maintenance. Overall, skate parks need maintenance. They're not gonna last forever. So things like the seam, sometimes if you're a local, go patch it up. I'm just happy to patch this up and now I can finally skate this quarter pipe behind here that I've never been able to skate before. But luckily right now there's only been like 2 people here. They're really cool, other skaters. But you know, Parks and Rec may show up. They might not be too hyped on me doing this. So let me get all my supplies away while we wait for it to dry. So my financial situation isn't very secretive. I've told you I've lost my full-time job. I don't really have the money to pay for an extra hobby like building a Renegade DIY skate spot right now. I make just enough to pay the bills. I just can't do it. I can't justify it essentially, especially with having a wife, a dog, a home, things to take care of. You know, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I did just launch channel members, meaning you can pay $4.99 a month, cancel at any time, and I'm going to be adding exclusive content. And what I mean by that is I'm basically going to be adding the process of my backyard build onto that backing. So you're not going to miss out on it, even if you can't afford the channel members. I'm eventually going to chop up all those kind of raw edits into more quality edits and post them on the publicly side facing channels. My goal is just to spend more time making quality edits. It might not work out. This is a trial to see if you guys even like this, but we're back at the spot. Let's get some legs.